How's everybody doing today? So, what we're going to paint today is a little piece of peace, I'd like to call it. I'm going to bring you back home a little bit to where I'm from in regards to there may be a little bit of water involved. And I also am a happy plant dad. So we're going to have a bit of that green in there as well too, which is also a big influence in my work. Green, blue, beautiful things, nature. So the first things that you're going to need today, I'll let you know the colors that we're going to use. So it's just the primary colors and a bit of purple as well too, or violet, my apologies. So we have our black, purple, blue, red, a bit of magenta if you have it, as it is technically the primary color, yellow, and a bit of white, okay? Also, you're going to want a nice chunk of red, more so blue, and a little bit more of the yellow as well, because we will be mixing up brown, and these are the three colors that we need to do so. Also, make sure you have your water. We don't drink this water. I have many a times. It does not taste good. I've done the work for us both. Now, this is the portion where I say you can have a bit of fun. So if you have any other materials at home, for example, I have these oil pastels, for example. You can use something like that to mix in with acrylic paint, for example. And I'll show you a bit how to do that as well. Lastly, I'll show you there's some stencils I have also that I might play with a bit. And I say this because it's important to just play around with your work. Nobody needs to be a Picasso right at the beginning. So if you do need to use a stencil to get the desired effect, feel free. It's not cheating. All right. So we're going to get into it. So the first thing, also, you want to make sure you have a flat brush. Okay. A brush that also is a little bit smaller in regards to a flat brush to give you a little bit more finer detail. Okay, a bigger one in a sense of it could be round, or sorry, flat or rounded. Okay, long handled, short handled, doesn't matter. It's whatever you're comfortable with. And then you're going to want also an angled brush. Okay, so let's get into it. So first things first, we are going to take our flat brush, just dip it in some straight up water, okay? And we're just gonna prep the surface for some paint. So nothing crazy, just a little bit of water. Not too much, just enough to let the paint flow, okay? And also I'm using heavier bodied acrylic as well too. You can use fluid, you can use heavy bodied, whichever is your personal preference. But yeah, so first things first, we are going to take our angle brush. And what we're going to do is we're going to dip it in a bit of water, and then we're going to come in with the littlest bit of white and even less yellow. So we're looking for a nice pale yellow color. Okay. More white, very pale yellow. Okay. Bit of a dip in the water. And what we're going to do is we're going to section off the canvas, right? So we're going to come down about a quarter of the way, okay? And we're just going to make a mark here. And we're going to come, now, when you're using the angle brush, you want to make sure if you're making a straight line to hold it this way, okay? So that the tip and the biggest portion of the brush is here, and we're going to just come across making the straightest line that we possibly can. Now, if you have tape, feel free to use it. Make your straight line across. You can use your pinky finger to help guide you. If it's not going as smoothly, add a little bit more water to your brush, okay? Does not have to be perfect. We just want the idea of this line there, okay? Perfect. Now, next, we'll make another line here. Okay. We're gonna come back in with a bit more water. We'll mix up a bit more of the yellow. Okay. And again, the paler the yellow, the better. Okay, don't be afraid to make it very light. But if it's a little bit darker, not a big deal either. So make that straight line with the brush angle proper. Okay, excellent. Pretty basic, right? So we have our top portion, middle portion, and the bottom. So next what we're going to do is we're going to put in the background of the, this is going to be a window, okay? So what we're going to do first is we are going to say what is outside of our window. For me, it's water and a beautiful sky. So we're going to make our horizon mark. So with that same yellow, okay, we're going to make a mark about halfway up this portion, okay, about halfway up. We're going to do our straight line across. At this point for the horizon, if you have a very sturdy hand, use your brush. If you do have tape, now would be the time to use it. And you would just put a tape in a straight line just across the front of the canvas. So there's our horizon line. Now we're going to go in with some blue, okay? So again, a bit of water on the brush. And we want a bit of a bigger brush on this one, okay? So a bit of water. We're gonna get into that blue, okay? And with the purple, we're gonna darken it just a wee bit, okay? So a nice blue. And it doesn't have to look exactly like this blue, of course. Whatever blue is appealing to your eyes and a bit on the darker side as well. So we want to think, okay, this blue is gonna be further back, so it's gonna be a bit darker, okay? Not a crazy amount of water on the brush, okay? And we're gonna go, you can go over that yellow line, no problem. Okay, happy blue. So we have the basic of where this is going to lay. And you're like, oh my gosh, what is this right now? But fear not, you're in good hands. So next, what we want to do is the sky. So we're going to use a similar blue, but we want to lighten it up a bit. So we're going to take a bit of white and we'll mix it with the blue we already created. Okay. And if you need more, feel free to get more paint, obviously. But I always say, less is more when it comes to paint. So don't go squirting out the whole bottle of paint, just a little taste at a time. All right, so now we have our lighter blue. We're gonna come up here into the sky. And it's okay if it drips down a bit, we catch it. And it's okay if it looks a little like, oh my gosh, there's water. It looks a little drippy. Absolutely fine. We will work with that. Perfect. So we have our sky, our water. Whoop. Now, the background for the inside. So we're gonna make something kind of cool looking, like almost like wallpaper effect, I guess. So this is a chance you have to use your stencils if you want to. Or you can just use your imagination and I'll guide you through that as well too. So, we don't want to use the same blue. We want to do a bit of a different color, I think, here. So we use some of this a magenta. And we'll mix it with a little bit of the red to get a cool color here. And as you can see. Okay. And again, nothing has to be perfect here. It's just the background. And please make sure, I would hope you're listening to me at this moment, but also a little bit of music in the background and keeping yourself cool, calm, and collected. This is a very relaxing experience, so fear not. Drips, we welcome them. Okay. Also, if you do get the drips, it's just a little bit too much water on your brush. And you can come back after you've dried off your brush a bit and smooth it back out. Okay. But again, this is just the background, nothing crazy. All right. So the last portion we're going to do is the floor. So that is going to be brown. And like I said earlier, we have the yellow, the blue, and the red. And that is going to give us the brown for the floor. So a bit of red, a tiniest bit of blue, again, less is more, and then a bit of yellow. Okay. And you'll start to get this nice browny color. Okay. And then we're going to come in, a dab of water, and we're going to put in our floors. All right. So the purpose of the light yellow lines is just to give you an idea of where everything is going to lay. In regards to, now we have our sky, water, background, wallpaper, floor, okay? And it's easy enough to paint over that yellow with the darker colors. So we're going to come back in, firstly with the sky, and we're gonna work our way top to bottom. So, still using this same brush, excuse me, we will come in with a nice light. So now that we've had more white on our palette here, we're going to come back into this blue. Okay. Okay. We can even get a bit more of that going on. Okay. And in the corners is where you want it to be more of the darker portion with the blue. So we'll add even more, just straight blue. Okay, and when you go, you just want a technique of X's in the corners there when you're applying the paint. Okay, and then towards the top as well, we want some of that darker bits. And again, I'm not really using any water in my brush at this point because I want it to be darker. Okay, so something like this. We'll come in a bit lighter, so I'm going to need a bit more white. And it's also really a great idea to kind of keep your palette somewhat organized. So some of the darker colors would be up here and some of the lighter colors, keeping them away from some of the darker ones. Makes life a little bit easier. So as you see, oh yeah. So it's getting lighter as we come down into the horizon. Okay, and just a little dab. We want to just slightly cover that half of that yellow line. Okay. Or we can cover it all, actually. That's beautiful. Okay, now we're like, not a cloud in the sky. Well, we can put a little something in there. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take straight up white. Now, don't clean your brush. You wanna leave a little bit of the blue on there, but just to taste. So we're gonna dab in the white, straight up and down, dry our brush, okay? So this still has some blue on it. And we're just gonna dab it straight up and down to make a cloud. Okay, and we all know clouds don't really have any specific shape other than fluffy. So just use your imagination on this part. There we are. So we kind of have a little bit of cumulus clouds going on there. So next we're going to keep working our way down. So now we will wash off of our brush, but before we will find that angle brush that we had before. So with the angle brush, we're going to come in with a clean one. Not very much water on it at all, if any. And we're going to grab blue, just straight blue. Okay. Again, we're going to hit it on an angle with the top portion of the brush, the tip, going to be this way, and we're going to come across, left to right. Okay. Just at the top here, right on the top of the yellow line. We're going to come across. Okay. You may have to give it a swipe or two. Okay. And if you want it a bit darker, which we do, we're going to add like the littlest bit of black. Like just a quick boop, boop. We're going to add a bit of that into it. Okay. So we get a nice darkened, almost grayish type of blue, I guess. Okay. We get a nice chunk of that, and then we go over the horizon again. Because this is going to be a very kind of crucial point. That's why I say you can use the tape, because you want it to be a very solid straight line. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now we're talking. Okay, so we have the horizon line in. It's looking great. So now as we come further, we're going to lighten it up just a bit. Okay, so same nice dark black there, blue, sorry. But we're going to come in with a different brush. Okay, mid-sized brush in here, same color, bit of white. Just the littlest bit of white, because we're going to progressively make it a little bit lighter. So we're here, dab of water, and we're going to come down and bring the horizon down all the way through, all the way to that yellow line. Doop. And we'll keep it going. As we're coming down, we're lightening it with a bit of white. Okay. Okay. A bit more white as we keep going down. Okay, a dab of water if need be. Get that flowing proper. Okay, we're working with something here. Now, have no worries, have no fears if yours does not look the exact same as mine. It's going to look exactly how you need it to. It's your piece of peace, not anybody else's. All right. So now we have our clouds, we have a horizon. Now we're going to get into the background. We'll take our bigger brush. Okay. Clean it off. All the water off. Now it has kind of like a washed out look already first there, right? So it'd be cool if we could play around with that. So what we're going to do is we'll outline it first. Now we're going to use brown to outline it, both here and at the bottom here, okay? So we'll mix up the brown. Again, yellow, a bit of blue, and some red. Okay. And we get a nice brown. Okay. Come at the top here. We're just gonna go over it. Just the top here. With the brown. And we want to essentially cover that yellow line with this brown. So the less water, the better. And it can be a bit on the darker side as well too. So you can add a bit more red to it. Okay. Okay. Now, this line does not have to be perfect, and I'll explain it why. Because this is essentially going to be a window. So with this brown, we're going to come in like this, and I'll show you with our angled brush, apologies. Okay, the littlest bit of water, we're going to mix up some brown again, yellow, bit of blue, more red, a little bit more yellow. Okay. Okay, now, right dab smack in the middle of the canvas, or as middle as you can. Okay, we're gonna come up just like this. And if it's not directly in the middle, it's absolutely fine. So now what's great about these lines here is they do not have to be perfectly straight. And I say this because this is a window, and this house can be as old or as new as you want. If you're amazing at drawing straight lines, you have yourself a brand new home. If not so much, well, you got a fixer-upper. And there's nothing wrong with that. All right, so I'm just gonna quickly draw this line. Okay, so now we have all that in. Okay, the window, the sill. Okay, now we're gonna come down and make the rest of the wall. Okay. So the best way to do that is if you do have a flatter, bigger brush, that would be perfect for this. You can also still use the rounded brush, but if you do have a square one, it would be better. Okay. So now we are going to come in with some of that magenta and the red again, but with a dry brush. Okay, a little magenta, a little red, no water on the brush. And we're just gonna come over like this. So we're gonna go this way, straight up, like the brush is straight up and down. This way, that way. This, bit of that. Okay, if it looks like it's doing absolutely nothing, get some more paint on the brush, which is totally good. Okay, we'll do a bit more of that. Okay, dry brush. And it doesn't have to be perfect by any means. We're just this way, that way, this way, that way, this way, that way. And we just want to essentially create some sort of pattern, a little bit of texture, a little something for the eye to kind of fancy upon. So this way, that way. Okay. Now, this is the opportunity you have to use one of the stencils, which I'll show you here now. You can get something simple like this, I don't know, at your dollar store or something to that nature. These ones in particular are sticky in the back. And we just lay it on just under our our window line. Okay. We can unstick it from our fingers. Okay. And just line it up best you can. Again, doesn't have to be perfect by any means. All right. So the stencil's there. We can come in with a different color altogether. Say let's do some straight yellow, just not mixed. Dab it straight up and down. And then give it like a straight up and down dab when you do the stenciling as well too. This is going to add a different kind of texture to it, but it's also going to make it easier for the pattern to kind of stick onto the background. So I'm going to quickly do this, just a little bit more yellow. Okay, and then the great reveal. Cool. So you get some sort of a pattern like that. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Can we work with it? Yes. Okay. It's actually pretty cool. So if you don't have a stencil of some sort, you can make one out of paper and use tape to stick it on, or you can freestyle a little bit. So you can find a bit of a smaller brush. That's a little too small. You can find a smaller brush, and what you're going to want to do is literally at this point let your imagination wild. Think of all the shapes that you know, all the wallpaper you've ever seen in your life, and you're going to start with, we'll say, yellow. Okay, and you can come through just little swirls, little stars. Okay, anything to that nature. If you want straight red, you can come in with some swirls again. Okay, so any sort of a pattern that you really like, that's simple enough for you to do. So even something as simple as that, you can repeat it, switch it up with the colors, come up with it into the pattern there. Okay. Again, nothing has to be perfect. It just has to be how you need it to be. Okay. And when you've gone into an older home and you look at the wallpaper, doesn't always make sense, so to speak, but it fits with the room. So that's the goal here. So we have our swirls, we have our pattern from the stencil. Okay, so we're gonna come at it with some purple now, or violet. Okay, over top everything. So we'll dip it in the water just a bit. Okay, and we really want the purple to look fairly on the lighter side, okay, with a nice bit of water, because we're just gonna wash over the wall portion quickly. Okay, so same size brush, a little bit of water, and we just want to come across. Okay, so now what this does is it creates another depth within the piece, but it also may cover up some of those mistakes that you didn't like with the wall. Okay. Just the lightest bit. Perfect. And we want a bit more. Okay, towards the bottom you can get a bit darker with the purple. Okay. Okay. And we just come up with it and it gets lighter as we go up. Okay. At this point, with a dry, flat brush, while it's still a bit wet, okay, we're just gonna go back and go over what we've just painted. So it's gonna pick up a little bit of the paint off, but it's also gonna smooth out that surface as well too to make it look more cohesive. Okay, I think our wall is looking pretty good. So, I'm just gonna quickly touch. Okay. So that's basically what we're looking for here. All right, and then again, same technique, flat brush. We're gonna come and just wipe off some of that. Okay. Last, we're gonna do our floors. We are gonna use brown, and we're gonna attempt to make it look similar to wood. And again, old home, floors don't have to be perfect. So we're gonna make our brown or use what we have already. Okay. Dry brush. Big guy, big square brush. Okay. Right into the brown that we've made. Okay, not a lot of water at all on the brush. Right to the top. Match that with the purple. Sorry, meet the purple with the brown. Okay, we're gonna need more. Painting helps when you sing a bit. It does help the art, so feel free. Let your vocal cords go. I know I will every now and again. All right, let's do this. So a little bit of blue, more red than blue, some yellow. And you've got yourself a brown. Okay. Ooh. Okay, so same thing, left to right, straight up and down. Come across the bottom of the purple. And then we open it up. So the brush is going to be straight up and down, but we're going left to right and right to left. Okay, some more paint, no water. Okay, and you see how because we didn't rinse off the brush, there's more or less like a gradient. There's some darker browns, there's some lighter browns, similar to how a wood floor would kind of look. Okay. Whoop. Perfect. So now, everything is laid down. We have all our components. Now is just to fine tune it a bit. So we want to make this look like real floors. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in with the angle brush. Okay. We're gonna come in with some brown underneath of the brush, so we'll get it loaded up with some brown. Okay, the same brown. A spot of black, like the littlest bit of black. And we're gonna mix that together. So a good bit of brown, taste of the black. Okay, and we don't want to mix it too much within the brush, okay? Boop. Kind of give it a little back and forth, and don't mix it too much. So we want a bit of the black to come out when we go left to right. And there's no, you don't have to be super straight with this. This is literally just to give the effect of the wood. So we're gonna come through like this. You can make some random lines, squiggles, and think of what looking at a piece of wood flooring looks like. There's knots, there's portions that are darker, that are lighter. Okay, so it's like a knot there, then we'll smooth it out, okay? Just have fun with it, play with it. And like I said, if anything, if it gets a little bit too black, if it gets a little bit too brown, you don't really know what to do with it, rewind, take a step back, and you can paint over it with brown and begin again. So, okay, we have that laid in. So it kind of gives it a wood-esque feel. Dry brush, same thing, left to right, because we want it to all flow in the same direction.